Who are these people? Why do they live the way they do? Growing up alongside Mennonites, I had always seen them as just a natural part of my life. But it wasn't until I left home that I realized how truly significant their way of life was and what it truly meant to my community. With questions that needed to be answered, I set out to return home and discover how two societies so different from each other could coexist and even thrive off each other. Elmira is a small town located in southwestern Ontario, home to one of the largest Mennonite and Amish populations in Ontario. Just like their forefathers, they believe in holding on to the old ways, dedicated to leading a plain and simple life. As part of my journey, I spoke to local business owner and tailor Robert Brown, who has extensive experience tailoring suits for the Mennonite community.
My grandfather, William C. Brown, came to Elmira on his calling as a tailor in 1936 to provide his service of tailoring suits for the Mennonites and Amish in this community. From there, we grew to a full-scale menswear store, and to this day, we are still tailoring suits for all different factions of the Mennonites and Amish. In the surrounding area of Elmira, there's all kinds of different types of Mennonite groups and Amish. So, old order Amish, and there's people like old order Amish that would drive horse and buggy, and then the other group would be beachy Amish, which would wear a plain suit like we make for most groups, but they would drive car. From there, the old order Mennonite is a group that's very plain. Horse and buggy people, large families.
But if I was to truly understand the relationship between the people of Elmira and the Mennonite order, I would need someone who had been there. Gleason Martin is a Markham Mennonite who was willing to speak to me about his life in the Mennonite community. Markham Mennonites are not limited to the strict rules of the Old Order Church, which forbids posing and actively giving your consent to photography or filming.
Well, I'm living out here in the wilderness. A lot of people probably don't know where Elmira is or Floridale is. If you're coming from Toronto, you got to go to Kitchener and to Elmira and to Floridale, and then come up to my place, and you see a poor farmer standing here with a couple of old tractors and a run-down farm, but we still enjoy our life. So that's the way it is.
Markham Mennonite would be the closest group to the Old Order group, Old Order Mennonite group that drive horse and buggy, but the Markham Mennonites would drive car. Usually everything that they would wear or drive would be black or dark colors. The conservative Mennonites drive cars, but they're just a little more lenient on their rules as what they could have in their household or what they might wear. But it still comes down to where they all are Christians and their beliefs are pretty much all the same.
Ebipin? Is Ebadad or what?
Gleason is one of the many Markham Mennonites in the area who do not abide by the strict rules of the Old Order Church, but still follow the teachings of the Mennonite Order's doctrine.
Well, as of right now, I am not really a member of the Old Order Church. I still go to church with the horse and buggy on Sundays, but I got too much stuff that the church doesn't allow, which is cell phones, tractor cabs, tractor transportation, and that's basically all I do. So if I ever want to join the church again, I have to either stop that or get a Dodge P diesel. My life as a teenager, it wasn't always the best. I was in a lot of trouble. I was always in trouble, not with the law, but with the Mennonite Church, just kind of going against their religion and doing stuff that's not really allowed in the church. But I had a lot of fun. So, yeah, we did have a good teenage years, and I just turned 60 on January the 26th, and I'm still going strong.
With most modern conveniences taken from them, the Mennonites live in a world quite separate but alongside our own.
Well, the Mennonite community, they always like to be within driving distance with a horse for to a town to go and get their groceries, and that's basically once a week they'll go out to groceries, and most of the Mennonites have fairly big families, so probably spend $500 a month just for groceries, or 600. So it kind of takes quite a bit away from the paycheck, but the farmers aren't making the money they used to. Like, it's not a hobby no more, it's a business.
Elmira is an ever-changing town, constantly expanding and upgrading to accommodate the large numbers of new residents moving to the area. With so many constant upgrades and expansions, it still remains a mystery as to how there is no struggle between two totally different groups sharing the same home. Yet life goes on in the small town, as if the rest of the world was absent of their very existence.
There's a bright and shiny city where the roses are in bloom. There's a mansion being built for me. When I close my earthly story and they lay me in the tomb, I'll become a millionaire, oh don't you see? Have you talked with my Redeemer? Is your robe as white as snow? Do you have a blessing that has set you free? If you've never had this blessing, there is something you must know. A sinner, you can be a millionaire with me.
The St. Jacob's Market fire devastated the community and struck at the very heart of the township's economic center. The market was not just a place of business. To many, it was a place for all people to enjoy, Mennonites and residents alike. The fire had destroyed a place where anyone, regardless of your beliefs, could come and witness the strong roots of the Mennonite community. Amazingly, the Mennonite teachings of brotherhood and unity had created something in the community that no fire could destroy. Already the market is being rebuilt, and now even more stands as a testament to the strong bonds that the people of the Elmira community share with each other.
Berries and blackberries, they're now 5 for $5. 5 for $5, they're now.
How was it that two groups so culturally divided could stand together, united by a simple code of ethics? On my journey to better understand this mystery, I spoke to someone who had once been at the very heart of the Mennonite community.
I was raised in an old order Mennonite home, which meant we drove horse and buggy. We had no telephone, no hydro, although hydro is allowed, we just didn't have the money for that. In about 1966, when I was about 29 or 30, we left the Mennonite church, and because I just didn't agree with their doctrine completely, and I just felt I'm going to raise my son in a different atmosphere, and certain things we wanted we weren't allowed to have, and so we left, and so I'm not connected with them at all anymore at the present time.
Life in the Mennonite order is not for everyone, and some choose to leave the church as a result.
I think many people think that the Mennonite is a very closed culture and a very difficult lifestyle, It really isn't, because they have a very close-knit brotherhood. So it's a very helpful community. They are very happy people because their life is simple. In the shoe store, when you sell shoes to them, the little boys get high black shoes that they had before, but they're happy with them. Little girls get little Oxfords, little tie shoes, black, just like they had before, but they're new and they're happy. Where most of the rest of society, they're not happy unless they've got a certain label on the side and stuff like that, where these people have a much simpler lifestyle, and so it's a simplistic, and the church and the home and the school is one unit. So that what the church teaches, what the home teaches, what the school teaches is one unit, and that makes, you know exactly where the borders are, you know exactly where the walls are of these communities, and you work within those, and it makes for a sense of peace.
Peace is one of the most prominent teachings of the Mennonite Church, as they would rather flee than be forced to fight.
It's much self-contained, that's the whole idea. I think the town of Elmira is used to them, the horse and buggies. I think the tourists, of course, come to see them, but they don't like that too well. They don't look at themselves as being something that should be a tourist attraction, but they are aware that the way they dress and the way of transportation is so out of date that it is a novelty for sure. They are able to work with their neighbors because they would help their neighbors no matter what church they go to. They try hard to be good living people. They try hard not to upset their non-Mennonite neighbors, but sometimes their ways are so different that it becomes an attraction.
By taking away the distractions that cause many of the issues we face today, the Mennonite people are able to focus on living their life by the Bible. I discovered that this creates a peaceful harmony and also helps those who are not part of the Mennonite community to learn the important lessons that the Mennonite way of life has to teach us. I had set out to discover how two societies so different from each other could live together in peace, and it wasn't until I had finished my journey that I realized that the Mennonites and the people of Elmira don't just live together, they live off each other, taking the strengths and beliefs of both sides to create a community which is not only peaceful but prosperous through the natural understanding that both groups have for each other. Now I truly understand what it means to be brought up in a community like this one, to be raised to appreciate those around you, to not take what you are given for granted, and to love thy neighbor, no matter what his beliefs are.